You grow up being told that your wedding day is the happiest day of your life. Not one of them. Not top 10, the happiest. Disney told you that. Your relatives told you that. Every romantic comedy with a slow motion veil shot told you that. One magical day where everything is perfect, you are perfect, love is perfect, and somehow no one is sweating in formal wear. No one mentions that this supposedly happiest day of your life is basically a very expensive anxiety marathon where you pay a small fortune to feed dry chicken to people you do not even like, while they gossip about your dress and the centerpieces. Welcome back to Simply Chaos, the channel for people who are not afraid of commitment. They are just afraid of signing a lifetime contract that starts with a bill bigger than their student loans. Today, we are talking about marriage, or more specifically, the wedding scam that wraps itself in romance and then quietly hands you a receipt that could have been the down payment on a house. Let us start with the wedding math, the kind no one puts on Pinterest. The average wedding in the States costs around $30,000. Let your brain sit with that for a second. $30,000 to stand in front of people you barely talk to and say, I love this person in an outfit you will never wear again, while a stranger takes photos of you pretending not to notice the camera. $30,000 is not just a party. That is years of rent. That is a car that starts when you turn the key. That is plane tickets and memories and therapy and maybe a tiny bit of peace. But the wedding industrial complex looks you dead in the eye and says if you really love each other, you will spend all of that on one single day and then you will smile through the financial hangover. And it is not just older generations pressuring you. Your own feed is in on it. You scroll past proposal videos in unreal locations, engagement shoots in golden hour fields, wedding clips with flower arches, and string quartets and custom neon signs that say forever in a cursive font. Every video ends with a soft fade and the caption, my heart is so full. None of them end with the line. And now we are both broke and stressed for 3 years. Here is the weird part. You are not anti-love. Gen Z is obsessed with romance. We love situationships, nearly relationships, fictional couples who communicate better than anyone we have ever dated. We will risk our sleep schedule to watch someone confess their feelings in the last episode of a show. We want love. We are just not sure we want to attach that love to a legal contract and a $30,000 performance. Because under all the fairy lights and bridal bouquets, there is something darker sitting in your chest. You did not grow up watching stable marriages where two people communicate and grow together and respectfully navigate conflict. You grew up watching one parent sleep on the couch for months. You grew up with divorce papers in a kitchen drawer. You grew up with one parent saying, we stayed together for you, and the other one saying, we should have left sooner. So when someone says forever, you do not envision an old couple holding hands on a porch. You hear a trapdoor slamming shut. You hear a judge saying, sign here. You feel your stomach twist because you know how ugly things get when the fairy tale ends and the real life paperwork begins. On top of that, you can barely commit to a show with more than 3 seasons. You cannot even decide what to order for dinner without opening 6 delivery apps and spiraling. And now you are supposed to decide who you are going to share a lease, a last name, a tax bracket, and a bed with until your knees give out. Forever sounds beautiful on a ring engraving. In your head, forever sounds like a threat. And still, the pressure is there. Not just from your family asking when it is your turn every holiday dinner. There is this subtle algorithm whisper. You see people your age getting engaged, posting ring selfies on manicured hands, saying words like, finally and cannot wait to spend the rest of my life with you. You compare your situationship that cannot even commit to good morning texts to that, and you start to wonder if you are broken for not wanting the big dress and the big cake and the big audience. Let us talk about that audience for a second, because modern weddings are not just ceremonies, they are performances. You are not just getting married, you are producing an event. You are casting a bridal party, designing a set, curating a playlist, hiring a photo and video team to turn your relationship into content. You rehearse your vows like a monologue. You practice your first dance so it looks good on camera. You are thinking less about how it feels to promise your life to someone and more about how it will look in a vertical clip with a trending audio. We used to get married in front of people we actually knew. Now we get married in front of whoever the algorithm decides to show our wedding video to. Your grandma used to keep one wedding photo in a frame. You are planning a carousel post and a teaser reel. You are not saying, I do. You are saying, I hope this goes viral. No wonder it feels fake. When every detail is optimized for aesthetics, you stop asking the uncomfortable questions. Not what color should the napkins be, but do I trust this person? Not what font should we use for the seating chart, but do I feel safe with this person when no one is watching? Not how do we make the reception fun, but how do we handle conflict, when we are tired and broke and annoyed. Because here's the real scam. The wedding industry sells you the feeling of certainty. It sells you the idea that if you spend enough money and make the day perfect enough, the marriage will somehow also be perfect. That, if you walk down an aisle sprinkled with flowers and filtered through a custom arch, you are walking into a future where love is secured, guaranteed, locked in. But the universe does not care how much your dress cost. It does not care how many guests you had. It does not care that your invitations had hand-painted calligraphy that you cannot actually read. The relationship you go home to after the wedding is the same relationship you had before the wedding, only now it is entangled with shared finances and legal consequences. Meanwhile, the economics of all this are pure chaos. You are a generation drowning in student debt, trying to pay rent in housing markets that feel like satire, negotiating salaries that barely keep up with inflation, and yet somehow there is still this cultural script that says spend what little savings you have on a single day, and if you do not, your love is cheap. You can barely afford therapy, but you are expected to afford a floral budget that could pay for months of mental health care. You are sharing a tiny apartment with a roommate, but someone tells you it is normal to spend more on centerpieces than you did on your first car. You are already stressed about money just existing, and now you are meant to smile through writing checks that make your bank app cry. And then comes the part no one wants to talk about: the debt. How many couples start off their marriage not with a sense of peace, but with a fresh load of credit card payments and family loans to repay? How many fights down the line are not about love or compatibility, but about the fact that interest rates do not care how cute your wedding hashtag was? So it makes sense that a lot of you are looking at this blueprint and going, actually, no thanks. You do not hate love. You hate the performance. You hate the pressure. You hate the idea that marriage has to come packaged with a circus and a crushing bill. That is why eloping is quietly trending, not the runaway movie version where you disappear to another country and your family disowns you. The new version, just you, your partner, a witness or two, maybe a cheap bouquet from the grocery store, and a photographer who knows how to catch you laughing for real, not in a staged dip, or the tiny backyard wedding with 10 people and pizza, or the courthouse ceremony and a casual dinner after, or no wedding at all, just a thoughtful conversation, some papers signed, and a shared Google Calendar. Gen Z is not killing marriage. Gen Z is killing the idea that your love needs an audience to be real. Here is another uncomfortable truth. A lot of people do not even want a marriage. They want the aesthetic of a wedding. They want the dress, the photos, the attention, the moment where everyone looks at them and says, wow. They want the story, not the reality. They want the romantic buildup, not the everyday maintenance. And honestly, can you blame them? The wedding is the only part of marriage that is easy to glamorize. No one posts a slow-motion montage of splitting household chores or sitting in silence after a long day, figuring out how to pay bills and still have energy to be kind to each other. No one makes a montage of you both at your laptops doing taxes. No one is out here romanticizing the conflict resolution talk that goes long into the night. But that is where forever actually lives. In the boring stuff. In the Tuesday nights where nothing special happens and you still choose not to turn away. In the days when your partner is not their best self and you decide whether you are going to punish them for being human or make room for them to be messy. So here is the question the wedding industry hopes you never ask. Do I want a marriage or do I want a wedding? Do I want to build a life with someone in all its boring, unflattering, unposted reality? Or do I just want one perfect day where I get to cosplay as the leading character in a romantic movie? There is no wrong answer. But there is a dangerous answer, and that is pretending you want the first when you actually only care about the second. If you are in a relationship right now and every conversation about the future is about venues and colors and guest lists, but no one is talking about conflict, values, mental health, money, and kids, that is not planning. That is avoidance wrapped in tulle. And if you are single and your brain keeps telling you that your life has not really started until you walk down an aisle in a rented dress, I need you to hear this. Your life does not begin at marriage. You are not a loading screen version of yourself waiting for a spouse to press start. You are a full human being right now. Your growth, your joy, your milestones, they count even if there is no ring, no bouquet, no first dance. Marriage can be beautiful. A quiet partnership, a soft landing, a person you can be ugly honest with. But that has nothing to do with whether you have a wedding that looks good on camera. You can have a huge party and an empty relationship. You can have no wedding at all and the deepest love you have ever known. The scam is not love. The scam is convincing you that love only counts if it comes with an overpriced party. So if you find yourself spiraling over wedding content, do a small experiment. Mute it, hide it, take it off your feed for a while. Sit with the question without the noise. If there were no photos, no guests, no likes, no videos, no aesthetic, would you still want to stand next to this person and promise to try for as long as you both are alive? And if there were no partner in the picture at all, would you still believe your life is worthy of celebration? Maybe your version of happily ever after is a small ceremony and a big life. Maybe it is 2 signatures on a courthouse form and a quiet dinner. Maybe it is never marrying at all and building deep friendships and chosen family and a life that feels full without a white dress moment. You are allowed to want a wedding. You are allowed to want the dress and the cake and the photos and the whole thing. You are allowed to want a marriage. You are also allowed to want neither right now. You do not owe anyone a timeline. What you do owe yourself is honesty. About why you want what you want. About whether you are chasing a fantasy that was sold to you or listening to what your actual life and heart can sustain. This is Simply Chaos. If you have ever attended a wedding and thought this is cute but also deeply unhinged, if you have ever priced a venue and then opened your bank app and laughed in pain, if the word forever makes your chest tighten a little, you are in the right place. If this episode pressed on a bruise, you know the drill. Like the video, drop a comment about the wildest wedding pressure you have experienced or the most chaotic ceremony you have ever been to, and subscribe to Simply Chaos for more gently savage breakdowns of modern life, love, money, and why you are not actually failing just because you do not want to spend $30,000 to prove you care about someone. You deserve love that feels safe when no one is watching, not just romance that looks expensive in a 30-second clip.